sure you must have already experienced once where somebody is looking at you with those fiery eyes, fire in their eyes, hopefully fire of love. But what happens when the eyes extinguish a fire? I want to share with you a fascinating story of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. But first, say thank you to Hashem. Mizmor l'soy rila adonai kol haaretz. Ivdu es adonai b'simcha b'elefanav v'nana duka adonai elimu son v'lo nachnam v'tzam b'risay. V'yishor b'soy lechatzoy so b'silo hoyd levach shmoy ki toiv adonai li'elam chazdoi v'yadur v'dur emun soy. And we give some tzedakah while we pray for the safety, security of every single member of wherever it would be, and obviously our thoughts with the hostages, and with all of us, we're all hostages. So yesterday was Chai Elul, the 18th day of the Elul, as we spoke about the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. Here is a story which connects the Alter Rebbe with the Baal Shem Tov. The Alter Rebbe once, as he was visiting a small village, a small little city, somewhere in Ukraine, Eastern Europe, little huts, homes made out of wood, and there's a fire. Those fires that start small in a little house but could end up consuming the entire city, because all it needs is to jump from one to the other. And then suddenly there's a wind, and the wind just starts blowing and fanning this fire, and the townspeople are petrified. They didn't have enough embers, the fire department, which came running with embers to extinguish the fire. And people are panicking. And then somebody says, there's a great tzaddik. They're just visiting the community. Let's run to him and ask his blessing, ask his advice. They came to the Alter Rebbe, tell him what's happening. The Alter Rebbe says, take me there. So he goes towards this house that's burning, closer and closer, and then he stops at a moment, and he's looking at it very intensely. And suddenly, as he's looking, the wind shifts direction, tapers down, and the flame slowly extinguished. And the entire city was saved from this imminent danger. Word got out of this phenomenal miracle. There was an army camp close by. Word got over there too. The general, smart man, a learned person, decided he has to meet this saint, this holy man. He goes to the city, meets the Alter Rebbe, and he tells the Alter Rebbe, are you by any chance familiar with the Baal Shem Tov? Alter Rebbe tells him, in fact, I consider him my spiritual grandfather. Oh, he says, so now I understand. I heard what you did, and now I understand why you have those great qualities. Alter Rebbe says, explain. And he says, I'll tell you a story. My father, also an army man, high-ranking general, very successful in everything, but one thing he was lacking. Sadly, they had no children. And he was away a long time from home, and he was very concerned about what's happening in his house. In terms of his wife, how she's faring, alone. And he came to Mezhebish, where the Baal Shem Tov was, and he heard that the Baal Shem Tov is a miracle maker. So he decided he wants to meet with him. So when he asked for an audience, he was told the Baal Shem Tov is too busy. General style, he has no time to see me, he will regret it. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to give out a decree that every home must host one of my soldiers. That's something you want to do. Baal Shem Tov agreed for him to come the next day at a certain time. He showed up at a certain time, and the Baal Shem Tov, his study was open, the door was open, and he saw that the Baal Shem Tov was deeply concentrated in his studies, oblivious to him. So while he's waiting, he notices a little mirror. No, a mirror. Let me see what I look like. Suddenly, as he looks in the mirror, he sees himself traveling on the road, coming all the way to his city where he lives, going to his home. And there he sees in the home his wife writing him a letter. And there in the letter she writes, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to write to you because we just had a baby. The baby is fine and everything is good and everything is wonderful. Now he was in total shock. In such a shock, he just ran out of the house. As he's coming back to his garrison, a soldier comes and says, mail just arrived for you. And the letter was exactly the same wording what he saw in that mirror. So the says, if that's your grandfather, I can understand. If he can send me letters through the mirror, I understand why you can extinguish fires with your eyes. So Eibishter, we would like to see them both, Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe now in the Beis HaMikdash.